On the 17th of April 2023, Toronto Airport called the police and said more than $20 million worth of gold has been stolen. This is one of the biggest gold heists in history. But what was all that gold doing in the airport? And how did they steal it so easily? Since last year this robbery took place until about 10 days ago, the Toronto police has not said a proper thing. They said we're still investigating and we can't answer any questions. And this went on for almost a year. Then about 10 days ago, a few people get arrested. And finally, the Canadian police releases a statement on how this robbery took place. And just like we said, every time a reporter asked the police on what the story is looking like, the police would always deny any answers and say we're still investigating. They tried to investigate a whole lot of people to get a few ideas on what is going on. And they had an idea on who might be guilty. And that's why it took so long for them to actually arrest these guys. When we get to about 2 weeks ago, the Canadian police finally arrest a whole lot of people. Then the police put on a conference and explain what has happened and who has been arrested. First and foremost, we have to say that this was an inside job, and that means the people that actually pulled it off worked for the airport, especially the Air Canada division, because that's the warehouse all this gold was stolen out of. But the story of the robbery begins in Switzerland. There's a gold refining company in Switzerland called Walcambi, and 6,600 golden ingots weighing up to 400 kilograms were supposed to be sent to Canada and be delivered to TD Bank. And that's alongside with the $2.5 million in cash. There's an American company called Brinks, and they have these armored cars that deliver goods, especially cash, around everywhere in Canada and even in Europe. And this company was assigned to come pick up this $20 million worth of gold and cash and deliver it to TD Bank. Flight number 881 of Air Canada, just like we said, lands on the 17th of April 2023 on time. Only 45 minutes of this airplane landing, a white truck that looks like this shows up to the warehouse and starts backing up into the dock. And when you back up to a dock like this, you have a work order and you have to pick something up. This is the slip he hands to the worker. This slip is all legit, and it even has the stamp of Air Canada, so there's no tomfoolery going on here. But the thing is, the pallet number on this slip is meant for some seafood supply that has already been picked up, but this man has the invoice. And inside the warehouse, the papers of the gold pallet has been swapped some way or another, and one of the warehouse employees takes the wrong pallet that has $20 million worth of gold and gives it to this guy so he can put it inside his box truck and drive away. The insane part is that between this airplane delivering this package to the airport and this man taking the pallet, it hasn't even been an hour. So whoever pulled this off were some geniuses. 3 hours after the package has been stolen, the Brinks truck shows up and gives the correct invoice to come pick up all that gold and cash. The workers take the invoice and start looking for the pallet, but there was nothing to be found. They searched the area for about 3 hours and come off empty-handed. And because of that, they're forced to call the Toronto police and tell them exactly what has just happened. First things first, the police investigated what has happened. They saw the invoice that has an official Air Canada badge. So they realized whoever pulled this off works in this airport, and they have to have a little bit of an upper position. But it's easier said than done because hundreds of people work for Air Canada in the Toronto airport. So it's not very easy to just pinpoint who did this and who didn't. After this robbery took place, Brinks sues Air Canada for the incompetence of the Air Canada employees because they have a highly valuable pallet just sitting there without anyone realizing what just happened. Either way, the police got busy. One of the first things they did is gather all the camera information in the roads near the airport to see which way the truck drove out. After 45 minutes of the truck dragging away from the city, they were tracked and they knew exactly where it was. But after 45 minutes, it enters a rural area where there's not enough cameras to track it anymore, and that's where they lose sight. But they didn't give up. They actually sent troopers down there to see if they can pinpoint the truck because it's not that hard to find. And after a few days, they found an abandoned truck like this. When they opened it up, they didn't see any cash, but they found a little bit of gold that has been turned into a bracelet. Bracelets that are 100% pure gold, and they're valued about $89,000. Officials say even though you can't 100% prove that it's the same gold, they believe that these bracelets were made with the same gold. A few months after this investigation, the police finally arrest a few people. 40-year-old Amit Jalota, 43-year-old Ahmad Chowdhury, 37-year-old Ali Raza, 32-year-old Parasat Parmalingam, and 56-year-old Parampal Sidhu. Then a few days after this, 3 more people were arrested. 36-year-old Archit Grover, 42-year-old Arsalan Chowdhury, and 31-year-old Simran Preet Panesar. And the last one that's remaining, and the 9th one, is the driver, Durante King McLean. But the driver was arrested another way, because he was arrested in the US while carrying 65 illegal firearms that he was trying to smuggle over the American-Canadian border. And the American police also realized that this man is wanted by the Canadian police. Either way, the Canadian police start interrogating these people. But of course, all of them denied the allegation that they did this or they were behind a robbery like this. The driver in the US is saying the same thing to the American police. They couldn't find the bracelets that were made from gold and pinpointed on someone that has stolen this gold because gold doesn't have a VIN number, no serial number. You can't pinpoint on where this gold came from. Gold is gold. If you melt it, it turns into every other gold in the world. There's no difference. That's why the police thinks that you will never find this gold, because these people send it to other people, turned into different things and sold it as precious gold, and you really can't get that back anymore. Unlike other elements that are very valuable, gold is extremely easy to melt down and turn into different things. Most of the gold you see in today's world were found centuries ago. Maybe you have a gold bracelet and the gold was extracted about 800 years ago by the Incas. You never know where that gold actually came from. But either way, these 9 men have been arrested and they're being interrogated by the police. And they're not willing to give up the answers on who did it or if they were behind it or not. The only person that's gonna get a hefty sentencing is the driver that has been caught by the American police. And that's because he was carrying 65 illegal firearms and trying to smuggle it to the Canadian border. And he might get 35 years.